Hello aspirants, I welcome you all to daily current affairs video of Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 8th of June 2025. Displayed here are the list of articles that we are going to discuss today. In this first article, we will be discussing about the G7 invite that has been accepted by our Prime Minister. The invitation has been given by Canadian Prime Minister. The second article will be discussing in detail about weekly Kudiarasu. It is not being published right now. However, it is a very important weekly which was initiated by Mr. Periyar. Periyar is a pen name of E.V. Ramasamy. And third article will be discussing in detail about UMEED portal, which is nothing but a new portal launched by Ministry of Minority Affairs. In the fourth article, we will be discussing about census. It is going to happen in 2047. What are all the important details and challenges? We will see that in the mains perspective. And in the fifth article, we will be discussing about the recent repo rate cut by RBI and how it will have an impact on the economy. So without any delay, let us get into the first news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article talks about G7 summit. Now currently it is in news because our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has accepted the invitation of Canadian Prime Minister to attend the G7 summit. So this particular news is a huge thing for India due to two important reasons. Firstly, this will be the first visit of our Prime Minister to Canada after a decade long of strained relationship due to the Khalistan issue and the diplomatic expulsion following the Khalistan issue. Secondly, this will be a huge thing for India because India will be attempting to reset ties with Canada as well as the world. So it will be highlighting India's global outreach by participating in this G7 summit. So here we are going to learn about G7 summit in this news article discussion. It is a very important topic from the preliminary point of view. So what is this G7? So we have to look into the evolution of G7. It actually formed in 1975 and the group name was actually G6. So originally there was only 6 members, which includes France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK and USA. And later on only in 1976 it became G7 after the inclusion of Canada. So what happened after 1974 was in 1997 to 2014, Russia was member of this G7, which made the grouping to be named as G8. So after the annexation of Crimea by Russia was excluded from the grouping, which again made the grouping to be named as G7. So currently from 2014 to the present, there is only G7 countries. Russia is not member of the particular organization. So what is the purpose of this G7? See, it will be coordinating all the global economic policy, security as well as development. So this is the main goal of G7 and there is no treaty or permanent secretariat for G7. So there will be also annual summit on rotation happening. And talking about the characteristics of G7, it is a very informal forum and there is no binding power when it comes to G7. And the presidency will also be rotating annually. So the important focus of G7 is economic governance, climate, health, security and digital regulation. Now, while saying about G7, we have to look into G20 countries as well. We can tell that all the G7 countries are members of G20. Remember that. Now here, while looking into the members of G7, you can see that India is not a member of G7. However, it has been invited to the summit. So we'll say about in a slide later. Now, apart from G7 and G20, there is also G4, which is a very important forum in which India is a member. So, the G4 member countries include Germany, Brazil, Japan and India. The main focus of all the 4 countries and the forming of this grouping is to ask United Nations to be giving them the permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. So these are the very important facts that you have to remember, and I have given you the mnemonics that you can use it for your memorizing purpose. So if there is, if you take G7, you can crisply you can tell that, can Uncle France just get in USA? So with this, you can connect it with the members there. And when we talk about the G20, there is developed as well as developing economics. It is actually a mix of both. So here comes the mnemonics: a big sugar ice jug fights MCT UK. So this here you can see the members of G20. India is the member of G20, and the G4 you can tell it as big J. So remember all this, and remember all the G7 members or G20 members. So if you remember it, you can actually get a preliminary question correct, and you can use it in mains as well. Now moving on, as I said, India is not a part of G20. However, it has participated in lot of G7 summits. I have given here the data. In 2025, even Prime Minister has confirmed the visit to Canada. So this will be our 5th visit to G7 summit. Now moving on, talking about G7's economic influence, this is a very important thing. They contribute nearly 43 to 45% of global GDP. This is as per IMF 2024, and they represent 10% of the population. So their participating there will give India a lot of opportunities, and it will actually have a greater influence in global trade, finance, as well as innovation. So based on the things we have discussed, I have created a preliminary question for you. Let me read out the question. Here the first statement says, all G7 countries are members of NATO. G7 has a permanent secretariat located in Brussels. Third statement says, India has been a permanent member of G7 since 2019. So what is the correct answer for the question here? The correct answer is option C, none. None of the statement is correct here. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article talks about a very important weekly magazine, Kudiarasu. It was actually launched by Mr. Periyar in 1925, and it has been 100 years since its conceptualization, and that is why it is in news today. And from using this as a basic, let us revise about Periyar from the prelims perspective. You can use this in your mains answer as well, because he is a very important social reformer when it comes to southern India, as well as you can use it in your essay part or in the ethics part. So let us start with who is Periyar. Periyar, his full name is E.V. Ramaswamy. His birth was 1879 and his death was 1973. And he is actually a rationalist. He is actually a social reformer and founder of the self-respect movement. This year we had a preliminary question: who is the founder of self-respect movement? It is none other than Mr. E.V. Ramaswamy. In short, or his pen name is Periyar, and he actually left Congress in 1925 due to caste and social justice issues. Talking about the self-respect movement, in 1925, when he came out of Congress, he led this particular movement which aimed to abolish caste hierarchy and promote equality, dignity, and rationalization. He was very curious and very angry about the caste being divided on communal as well as caste lines, and he actually advocated to eradicate supremacy of the Brahmins, especially in the southern India. So he promoted a lot of things which will reduce the superiority of the Brahmins and lead to an equal society. So the first thing he encouraged for is intercaste marriage. He even propagated atheism and gender equality. He asked for equal representation for women in governance as well. Apart from this, he empowered marginalized communities to question the traditions that actually suppressed them for years. So now talking about the Kudiarasu Weekly, it was launched in 1925, the same year when the movement was actually launched. So it was there until 1949, 2 years after independence. This particular weekly, it was used as a tool by Periyar to propagate self-respect movement, also to critique the caste oppression, colonial rule, as well as religious dogma. He even published lot of Tamil translations of Ambedkar, Marx, Engels, and more using this particular Kudiarasu Weekly. Through this, he empowered people with knowledge. Now, moving on, talking about other contributions of Periyar when it comes to being a reformer. So first thing he asked for is women's right. He advocated for women's right. He even championed women's education, property rights, and remarriage. For example, the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 was actually enacted by the push of Periyar. He legalized intercaste and interreligious marriages, and he banned polygamy among Hindus, and he gave legal backing to divorce and remarriage, supporting women's autonomy. So apart from that, he gave equal rights to women when it comes to inheritance as well through the Hindu Succession Act 1956. He gave a major push to the government to make this particular law. So here it gave daughters equal right to the property in joint Hindu family properties. So these are certain important legislations passed due to his advocacy to women's right. And he even promoted equal political representation and supported feminist writers like Muvalu Ramamardam and Kunjamal. Now, talking about rationalism, he actually promoted scientific temper and rejected the blind faith on superstition, and he criticized ideal worship and religious orthodoxy. And he launched other journals like Purachi and Pahutarivu. And talking about his legacy, he actually influenced leaders like Annadurai and Karunanidhi, who are the pillars of two important ideological, who are the pillars of political party. And he is actually the ideological foundation. He laid the ideological foundation for DMK as well as AIADMK, and he inspired federalism, social justice, as well as caste reform movements. So these are all very important facts that you have to remember. So based on the discussion, I have created a preliminary question for you. Let me read out the question. Here, four statements has been given, and you have to find which of the statement given here is or not correct. Here, the correct answer for the particular question is option B, 1, 2, and 4 only. The third statement is actually incorrect. It is published in English and promotes Swadeshi exclusively. No. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article talks about Ministry of Minority Affairs. They have launched a centralized digital platform for real-time monitoring of WAQF properties. So first we have to learn about what is this WAQF properties. Then we shall see about the special features of this particularly newly launched portal. So what is this WAQF property? See, these properties are nothing but religious endowment under Islamic law. Endowment is also known as donations. So people, they voluntarily, they will be giving up their property for the religious purposes, and the type of giving up the property, it might be differing. For example, certain people can give up their private will for the public use or the religious use. Some people, they will be donating the rent from a well-incomed shop to support a mothership. It is also a kind of donation. Or some people, they will be giving the land, entire land itself, for the building up of hospitals, motherships, or mosques. So these kinds of donations made for the god, it is known as especially under the religious endowment, it is known as, under the Islamic law, is known as WAQF properties. So this purpose, as I said, it is charitable or for religious use, and the nature is, it is permanently dedicated. It is not like you are giving up the property for a particular period of time. No, when you are giving it for the WAQF properties, it means that you are giving up entirely, permanently. So it cannot be sold, it cannot be transferred, or it cannot be inherited after giving up the property. So remember this. And this particular WAQF property, once it is given up, it is managed by Mutawali, who is actually a caretaker. So these are very important facts that you have to remember about WAQF property. Very recently, this WAQF property was frequently in news. And I forgot to tell about one thing. This WAQF property was first introduced in India by the Delhi Sultanates. To be specific, it was introduced by Iltutmish. So remember this. This might be asked as a preliminary question. So that is why I try to add this particular information. Remember this. Now, this WAQF property was frequently in news due to 2025 amendment. Three important changes has been brought to the WAQF properties. So first thing is, the definition has been changed. Priorly, the religious laws, it defined what can be the WQF property, but currently a proper definition has been given. This is actually limiting the scope of WQF property. Second thing is authority has been changed. Priorly there is WAQF boards. It has been established both in the central level as well as in the state level. Now currently this amendment it empowers district collectors to certify whether a particular property will be coming under WQF property or not. So it is like adding a jurisdiction for the district collectors. And the third important thing is the board composition of the board has been changed. It has even included Muslim women, and it has actually encouraged for adding non-Muslim peoples as well in the board. So this will bring in modernity to the board, as well as it will be inclusive as well. So these are very important changes brought by the 2025 amendment, and that is why the WQF properties was frequently in news. Now we shall look into the exact features of this particular portal. So this portal, it is shortly named as UMEED portal, and when we expand this UMEED portal, it will be expanded as Unified WQF Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development. So as I said, while I was reading the heading, it is actually centralized, meaning there is no different portal for state, there is no different portal for center. It is only one portal. That is why it is centralized. Secondly, it helps for real-time monitoring. So what is this real-time monitoring? Any kind of particular change made immediately, it will be reflected throughout the centralized portal, and anybody can see it. So even if a certificate is issued saying that this particular place is WQF property, then it will be in this particular portal instantly. So that is why they are calling it as real-time monitoring. And thirdly, the main purpose of this portal is making everything digitalized. So the uploading, verifying and the monitoring of the properties will be real time as well as in the digital form. So it was launched on June 6, 2025 by Union Ministry of Minority Affairs. Talking about the main features, firstly, there will be a digital inventory of WQF assets. So if there is a particular asset, every detail of the asset will be there. That is what they call by the name inventory. So secondly, there is geotagging and GIS mapping. Geotagging is nothing but if WQF property is here, it will be mapped in the real-time maps. So that is what geotagging means. And GIS mapping is also there. Anybody who have to access, anybody who wanted to know about the routes, wherever the WQF assets are there, they can see that through the digital portal. Thirdly, there is online grievance redressal. So if there is any problem, people can use this portal and raise queries which can be sorted out earlier. And there is public access to verified data. Certain verified people can access the verified data in the particular portal. And finally, there is e-governance integration. So these are very important main features of the newly launched portal. So what is the advantage of it? Firstly, there is transparency. So the corruption will be reduced. So we'll be clearly knowing which are the WQF assets and which are not. So it will bring a lot of clarity to the public. Secondly, it will bring in accountability. So the properties are digitally recorded and monitored. So any kind of wrongdoing will be immediately exposed. And thirdly, there is efficient management. There is better tracking and as well as utilization when it is already available in the digital form. Fourthly, there is the public participation. There is inclusivity and responsive system, since there is a grievance redressal mechanism in the portal as well. Then there is quick grievance redressal. Then there is quick grievance redressal, meaning the issues will be sorted out faster. This particular thing, it was not available priorly. Now under this portal we have faster solutions as well. And finally, it will be preventing misuse. It will stop illegal occupation. So this is the very important thing why this particular portal has been created. Now, based on the things we have discussed, I have created a prelims question for you. Let me read out the question. Which of the following is a key feature of the UMEED portal? So here, if the expansion of this particular short form is given, you can directly arrive at the answer, but trickily they have not given the expansion. So here the correct answer for the question is option B, geotagging of WAQF properties. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article talks about census. Now census is in news because the past census, which has to be taken in 2011, has been disrupted due to COVID-19 lockdowns, and the government has said that it will complete the census program before 2027. So that is why it is in news. And the important thing about 2027 census is that it will be completely digital, and it will include caste enumeration. So from the prelims as well as mains perspective, we are going to see about census. So what is this census? Census is nothing but a decadal head count of all individuals in India. So it will provide us the demographic data, it will give us the social as well as economic data at granular levels. So so during the census program, priorly how census happened was government officials, they would go to each household, and they will be taking out the list of persons, how many of them are there, what is their language, and what is their, currently they are going to enumerate the caste as well. So we'll be having a detailed data on caste, percentage of people belonging to a particular caste as well. But currently it will be transformed into a digital one. And the first synchronous census was taken in 1881 during the British administration. It happened in Mumbai the first time, and the last completed was 2011. Now moving on, we have to say about the legal and constitutional provisions. So we have legal provision under Census Act 1948. So this act provides the legal authority for census, and it ensures, it gives section 15 gives confidentiality. All the data enumerated will be the privacy of the people will be protected. And when we talk about the constitutional provision, there is Article 82 which asks for census, and the census will be the baseline for delimitation of seats when it comes to Lok Sabha. And there is Article 170 which talks about delimitation when it comes to state legislative assembly. And there is Delimitation Act 2002. This empowers the Delimitation Commission to have the seats being divided based on census. So for all these purposes, census is very important, and these are all the legal as well as constitutional provisions. Now moving on, let us see about the uses of census. See, first thing is it will help us in governance. So it will help us in planning, it will help us in budgeting, and it will help us in policy making. So we can tell that under governance all these actually comes. The welfare comes, the health and education comes, the electoral representation comes, and even research and infrastructure comes. Everything comes under governance, but you can still put it as a separate side heading and tell how it help in ensuring the welfare or ensuring healthcare. So when we talk about welfare, it helps in targeting the beneficiaries in scheme. So priorly in 2011, it has been almost 15 years. So during this 15 years, people might have changed, the level of their income might have changed, the people education standard might have changed, and they might have got new house, they might have got land. So those kinds of changes did not have been enumerated for a so long period of 15 years. So the beneficiaries will be differing ultimately, right? So starting from the PD shops where the below poverty line is being given, from there until very high huge schemes like a PM Kisan scheme, so MG Narega scheme, so everything requires census data. And there is health and education. It helps in tracking the literacy, fertility as well as IMR. If there is increase in the result or if there is increase in literacy, then the policy that we are following is actually correct. But if it requires improvement, where it requires improvement, and how it can be rectified, so those kinds of policy reforms can be brought in by the census. Then there is electoral reforms. As I said, it is the basis of redrawing the constituencies. And there is research and infrastructure. It will support academic studies as well as urban planning for the future as well. Now moving on, there are a lot of challenges ahead when it comes to the census. Let us see them one by one. Firstly, delay and political implication on representation. So there is actually a lot of debate going on when it comes to delimitation. We'll see about that another day. Second thing is digital divide. There is risk of exclusion and cyber security issues. So as I said, it will be completely online, right? So how through online it will be taking places? Firstly, the self enumeration through online portals. So a separate portal will be created where people can enumerate themselves. So there will be self enumeration, and there will be even mobile apps. Even for COVID, we had mobile apps, right? So for that, even census, there will be mobile apps, and Aadhaar will be used. DigiLockers, the number of users will be, the data will be taken. The NPR exercise will be checked through, and the geotagging and GIS mapping can also be used, and using the real-time dashboards for monitoring will be also used to enumerate the number of population in the country. And finally, the cloud-based storage and analytics will also be used. So a very good example is the number of birth certificate that has been enumerated, or the number of death certificates that has been enumerated. So based on that also, the online or the digital census might be taken. So all these actually create a very huge cybersecurity issue for our country, for which we have to build a non-crackable cyber security. And there is a lot of risk of inclusion due to digital divide, which is a very important challenge that we have to address. There is caste enumeration as well, right? So there may deepen social fault lines might be seen, and interstate tensions over representation and federal equity. So actually the first point and the fourth point are the same. We'll see about that in another day. So here comes the question, what can be done? Firstly, timely execution with a clear roadmap is a must thing. This will reduce the administrative resources that are being allocated. The wastage will be reduced, the expenditure will be properly used, effectively used. Secondly, strong data protection law should be there in order to protect the privacy of the public. Then transparent and development use of caste data should be there instead of using it for the vote banks, and engage states to ensure consensus on delimitation. So when delimitation is there, we have to bring in a clear ground where both the north as well as the south gets benefited equally, and gets especially the south gets benefited for whatever effort they have made to reduce the population. And we have to promote digital literacy, and even in certain places there is actually digital divide is there we can bring in offline alternatives. So we have to first map on where there is a very crucial digital divide is there, and finally we have to build public trust through open communication. So these are the facts that you have to remember. Based on the things we have discussed, I have created a mains question for you. Let me read out the question. Why is the decadal census important for India? Discuss its legal provisions, uses and challenges in light of the recent delays. So you can write an answer and post it in the comment section so that we can review your answer as well as your peers can review it. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this editorial article. This article is written on the basis of recent cut down of repo rate by RBI. So the RBI has cut down repo rate by 50 basis points to 5.5%. If you know what is the basis point, leave that in the comment section. And this particular editorial is written on the background of that. So from the basics, we have to learn about what is monetary policy, what is the fiscal policy, and how this repo rate will have an impact on economy. So all these will be asked both in the prelims as well as mains. So let us start with the policies when it comes to financial sector. So there are two different policies. First is the fiscal policy and second one is the monetary policy. Fiscal policy, it is set out by the government in order to control the GDP or the inflation or the price stability. As well as when we talk about the monetary policy, it is actually set out by the central banks of any particular country. So for us, RBI decides it. So they decide the rates to control the inflation. So both the policies, they can be either expansionary or either contractionary in nature. So what does it mean when they tell it is expansionary in nature? They will be putting a lot of money into the circulation inside the economy. So it is expansionary. So when we call it as a contractionary, it means government or the RBI, they will be sucking out the amount of money from the people through different methods. So I have mentioned all that here. You can precisely have mentioned it. You can quickly go through it. If you're not clearly understanding it, you can let me know in the comment section, so that I'll be using another presentation to explain you regarding that. Now moving on, we shall see about the monetary policy specifically, because the article is actually talking about that. So there are different tools of monetary policy, which is actually set out by RBI, as I said. First one is the repo rate. What is this repo rate? Repo rate is nothing but the interest rate at which commercial banks borrow from the Reserve Bank of India. So if there is a particular bank, they have different sources of getting money in order to run their businesses. First thing is people. There will be people will be depositing with the banks. So banks, they will be taking from the people and they will be doing their business. The amount will be given out as loan, and from interest they will be getting back the money. Secondly, they will be asking nearby banks. So the friendly banks, they will be having a tie-up. From there, they will be getting money. With that, they will be doing the circulation business. So they can even ask from the NBFC, non-banking financial institutions. So what is this non-banking financial institution? Or certain companies which will provide for insurance. It's exclusively they provide for insurances. From there, they will be getting, and only the final resort they will be going to RBI. So here, while lending from RBI, there is a particular rate that RBI charges. So this is what the repo rate actually means. And there is reverse repo rate. The reverse repo rate is nothing but RBI will be getting money from the banks, and the interest rate that has been laid on those kinds of loans is known as reverse repo rate. And there is CRR, cash reserve ratio, and the SLR, statutory liquid ratio. See, these two ratio are nothing but the ratio of amount they have to settle down. For example, CRR, here the bank, it will be giving the percentage of its deposits to the RBI. So this is for extreme situations, for the emergency purposes. And the SLR is something bank has to held with themselves. So both these are for extreme situations, for the safety of the bank, functioning of the bank itself. And the banks, RBI, they can control the liquidity using the CRR as well as SLR. And that is open market operation. Open market operation is nothing but they will be using, RBI will be using the stock market to buy the government securities as well as sell the government securities. And there is monetary policy stance. So there are a lot of tools. Now moving on, now talking about the decision of RBI to cut down the repo rate, how it will have an impact on the economy, we shall see them one by one. Firstly, it will give cheaper loans. How? Is the very big question here, right? So here in this diagram, you can see that RBI, if it is increasing, if it is decreasing the repo rate, then banks will. For example, you take priorly it is 5%, priorly it is 6%. Take it is priorly 6%, and it has been reduced. The basis point has been reduced, and now it is 5.5%, which means you can get fund from RBI. You can get loans from RBI at the lower rates. So what you will do, you will get higher amount of loan, right? So that is why they are telling cheaper loans. The loan will be cheaper, and you will be getting lot of the borrowing amount will be higher. Secondly, it will increase liquidity, because more lending capacity will be there. So lot of money will be getting into the economy. Thirdly, it will boost economic growth. It will support the 6.5% target that India has right now. And fourthly, why I am telling this, it will boost economic growth, is because now the private sector, they will be having lot of money to invest. So if they are investing, they will be bringing innovation. If there is innovation, lot of products will be produced. If the products are produced and sold in the market, the wages of the workers will be increased. If the wages is increasing, the consumption will increase. So here there is a direct link. You can see that. If the consumption is actually increasing, again the private sector, they will get even more money. With more profit, they will again produce a lot of products. So this will be a positive feedback loop. So this will be creating economic growth, and it will limit inflation risks. See, currently there is no proper consumption pattern after the COVID. So we have actually reduced the tax slab as well. So until 12 lakhs, you don't have to pay income tax, right? So you will have it is like aligning the monetary policy as well as the fiscal policy. They both are aligning. Now people will have more money, and instead of this condition, instead of creating an inflation itself, it will lead to an economic growth, and that is why both the monetary and fiscal policy has been aligned. So these are all very key impacts of recent RBI decision. Now here comes the question: what is the way ahead? It will ensure effective transfer of we have to ensure the effective transfer of rate cuts. See, what happens when repo rate is decreasing, the banks will get more loan and it will have more money. So this more money, they will be giving out as loan, and there also the interest rate will be decreasing, because RBI, by getting it from the people, they are again going to give it to RBI, right? So here interest rate will also be declining. So this effective transmission of rate cuts will be there, and it should be ensured properly. And secondly, monitor inflation trend vigilant. We have to look into the inflation trend, because we have now more amount of money will be with the people. So we have to see how this trajectory actually goes. And thirdly, we have to support the productive sector. For example, the MSMEs, the agriculture and infrastructure. These are productive sectors. Productive sectors meaning they will give you income, multiplied income. So we have to reduce the shortcomings where the economy is not performing well when it comes to these productive sectors. And we have to strengthen communication and policy coordination among the banks as well as the administrative side. So based on things we have discussed, I have created a mains question for you. Let me read out the question. Discuss the recent monetary policy decisions by the Reserve Bank of India and their implications for economic growth and inflation management. So you can write an answer and post it in the comment section so that we can review your answer. So with this, we came to the end of the news article discussion. If you like the video, hit like, do comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Now thank you so much for listening.